Governor Cuomo bans almost all government-funded travel to Mississippi.
Suspicious banking exposed in Panama. Now the U.S. free trade policies are being called into question.
And women are being forced to pay more for the same products. We'll have economics professor Don Dukowski in studio to explain why.
Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4 p.m. I'm Ying Chen.
And I'm Jacob Friesen Grant. Let's get right to our top story. Governor Cuomo has banned all non-essential travel to Mississippi. The ban is the result of Mississippi passing a law that discriminates against LGBTQ community. The law allows businesses to refuse service to customers based on their gender identity and sexual orientation. Cuomo stated that he will not lift the ban until the law is repealed.
For the first time in years, the New York State primary will play a key role in both of the primaries. Cruz and Sanders' big wins in Wisconsin are causing frontrunners Trump and Clinton to focus on their home state. If Trump doesn't win decisively from now on, there could be a contested Republican convention. Clinton holds a big lead over Sanders, and she is predicted to win New York.
Speaking of Bernie Sanders, Syracuse for Sanders will be marching through downtown Syracuse this Saturday. March organizers state that Central New York is feeling the burn. They feel that this march is a great way to energize supporters. The march will start at noon on the corner of South Franklin and Walton Street in Armory Square.
After Syracuse women's basketball made history with its trip to the finals, the team fell just short in the national championship. Syracuse women's basketball marked this season after it beat South Carolina and got into Sweet 16. Then the team continued the momentum, voting to Final Four. Coach Helsman said the winning shouldn't come as a surprise because all team members have been top players since high school. Max Block has the full story in a few minutes. Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright visited Syracuse University yesterday. She even wore an orange flower pin in support of the women's basketball team. Coming from a refugee family, Albright addressed the issue of globalization, public responsibility, and the current refugee crisis. Albright said refugees have done useful things to the country. She also said the biggest issue of our time is to understand what creates terrorists.
Deputies are looking for a missing teenager who ran away from Syracuse Residential Center last month. 16-year-old Michael Latour was placed at the treatment center by social services. Police believe that he is making an effort to not be located. Latour is 6 feet tall and has tattoos on his arms. If you know any information on his whereabouts, please contact the police.
Syracuse Department of Public Works Commission are working on fixing a large sinkhole in north of Syracuse that put neighbors in danger. The sinkhole is located on South Albert Street. The hole is 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep, and it's still getting bigger. The hole is in the middle of the crosswalk leading to the Franklin Elementary School. Syracuse School District said crossing guards are directing students away from unsafe area. Last night, a Lysander household reported their kids playing with liquid mercury. Firefighters and ambulance responded to the scene immediately and found no one getting injured. The owner of the house, Dan Ewald, said a neighbor's child brought a vial of mercury to his son and they played with it on hands. Ewald found the mercury later. They spilled it. He told the kids to wash hands right away. Mercury is a heavy metal and is often used in thermometer. Exposure to mercury may result in many diseases.
The annual Brave the Shave for St. Baldrick's fundraiser takes place this Sunday. Volunteers help raise money and awareness by shaving their heads. Among the volunteers this year is 8-year-old Brooke Todd, who has a friend battling cancer. So far, Central New Yorkers have raised over $300,000, which will be donated to the cancer research. If you want to brave the shave, go to Kitty Hoyne's Irish Pub and Restaurant this Sunday. NCC News reporter Madison Carter joins us now to tell us about a fresh new way adults are trying to keep things light.
Right, so have you guys heard about jokes about adulting?
I haven't.
Me either. What's that?
So adulting is basically the process of being an adult, having to pay bills, having responsibilities, all the stuff that nobody really wants to do. The joke is that it's really hard to do, but thanks to new research about the growing trend of adult coloring, people now might get to hold on to a little bit of that childhood and take away some of the stress of adulting at the same time.
At 10 o'clock, smack dab in the middle of the week, the North Onondaga Public Library invites adults only to take a break from life and have some fun.
Without your shoes on.
Ellen, Anita, and Sandy have been coming to the library once a week for the past 6 months for some coffee, chatting, and of course, coloring. You would think they've known each other for years.
No, never saw each other before in our lives.
Creating new relationships is an added benefit of the program.
They did not know each other, and it's become quite a social event for them. They're friends now. They talk, they laugh, they go to lunch together.
These ladies have been coloring for years, but the program started because of the rising popularity of coloring books being published today.
Well, I just saw that all the bestseller books at Barnes & Noble or Amazon were all these adult coloring books, and I started to think, well, we could do that.
Nancy's right. To this day, adult coloring books are top sellers, and it's about more than just having fun. Researchers and art therapists have raved over the calming benefits of adult coloring for years.
Doctors are recommending this for their patients that really need to relax.
Coloring as an alternative to meditation has therapeutic potential to reduce anxiety, create focus, and bring about more mindfulness. It's been so popular that the program will be here.
As long as they keep coming.
If you're really serious about getting the most out of your coloring, coloringbooks.net says forget the crayons and go right to the colored pencils to get the precision you need for the best drawing.
Now let's go outside to find out what the weather is doing today. How's it looking out there, Paula?
Well, guys, our calendars say it's spring, but it certainly does not feel that way out here on University Avenue. It actually snowed earlier this morning, and I'm not sure if you can see behind me, but there is a lot of snow on the ground. Now, currently the temperature is around 38 degrees, which is a lot better than the 28 degrees we had earlier this morning. And if we take a look at the almanac, we did hit a high of 82 degrees in 1921 with a low of 14 degrees in 1943. Now, unfortunately, we're nowhere near hitting those 82 degrees, but hopefully we will very soon. Now, I'll have your full weather report at the 4:45 show. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Paula. After the break, take a leaked Panama paper could mean for United States.
Still to come, economics professor Don Dutowski explains why women are paying more for the same products.
And they may not have won, but what does this historic season mean for the future of women's basketball team? Max Block will have the full story in a few minutes. Federal officials said this morning that they are shifting Ebola funds to Zika virus fight because the Congress won't approve Zika funding. The White House said the situation of Zika has grown more critical. Other federal agencies, including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and National Institutes of Health, have been working on various fronts. They are trying to develop Zika vaccine and better test for infection. They try to control the mosquitoes and help families who have babies born with Zika.
A judge in Charlottesville, Virginia, has ordered an alleged victim of sexual assault to attend a deposition. A student from the University of Virginia, identified as Jackie, accused her fraternity of gang rape. Rolling Stone then wrote a feature article about the incident, but never verified the story with another source. In reaction to the article, the fraternity has filed a $25 million lawsuit against the magazine.
Wildfires continue to blaze in Oklahoma and Kansas today.
The largest fire in Oklahoma is burning in the same area near the Kansas border, where hundreds of square miles were scorched just last month.
The fires are attributed to dry air, warm temperatures, and strong winds.
Some structures have been lost, but there are no current reports of injuries in Oklahoma or Kansas. The Panama Papers scandal has the potential to become an important election issue.
The leaked documents show that a Panama law firm helped more than 14,000 companies dodge taxes.
But the U.S. free trade regulations actually made a lot of these shady business practices legal for United States companies.
Presidential candidate Bernie Sanders used the leak as an opportunity to criticize Clinton and her corporate ties.
Sanders actually predicted this would happen in his speech back in 2011.
Panama is a world leader when it comes to allowing wealthy Americans and large corporations to evade U.S. taxes by stashing their cash in offshore tax havens.
Hillary Clinton campaigned for the free trade agreement that made most of these tax havens legal back when she was Secretary of State.
They started talking about tax havens and such. Then they made the impression that I had been involved in that. It is very important to remember that my wife's company has never been in a tax haven.
Despite that attempt to distance himself from the Panama Papers scandal, the Icelandic Prime Minister is stepping down.
After the document leak, authorities say more than 22,000 protesters took to streets demanding he resign.
So far, the leak has outed 128 notable politicians across the world, including some in the Putin administration.
The United States is questioning whether Greece follows the one-in, one-out agreement. The latest agreement orders that for every refugee sent back to Turkey, another refugee will be resettled in Europe. But the limit number is 72,000. Turkey will get both economic and political benefits from the agreement. Under the deal, refugees cross the Greek border illegally will be deported if their asylum claims were rejected. However, UN says at least 13 of 202 refugees deported on Monday didn't have a chance to apply for asylum. Amnesty International reports a record number of the documented executions for 2015.
There were more worldwide executions this past year than there have been in 30 years, and nearly 50% more than there had been in 2014.
More than 80% of the total executions were recorded in Iran, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. Professor Don Dukowski explains why women are paying more than men for common products.
We'll be right back.
A recent study says women spend more money for the same product as men over 40% of times.
NCC News' Paolo Suro tells us what take local stores have on this issue.
That's right, guys. I spoke to students and employees to get their angle on why women pay more for the same product 40% of the time. There's still no law that avoids this from happening. Razors, jeans, shoes, shampoo. These are just some items that women pay more than men for, also referred to as a pink tax.
That's ridiculous.
A recent study by the New York City Department of Consumer Affairs found that women pay more for the same items and same brand as men 42% of the time. Syracuse University student Emily Harkins thinks this needs to change.
It just goes along with the fact that women are paid less than men, that it's the complete opposite. If we're paid less, why should we have to pay more for what we buy? Makes no sense. The study found that female razors are 11% more expensive than men's. Toys marketed to girls are 11% more expensive too, and jeans 10% more. We asked employee of the apparel store J. Michaels, Eric Hicks, why this is.
It's much harder for women, in my experience, to find the right fit in a pair of jeans. So once they do, money is almost not an object.
In fact, studies say women spend more than $1,300 than men annually for the same product. Owner of J. Michaels, John Favalo, sees the pink tax reflected even at the dry cleaners.
Go to the cleaners, and I take a top coat in of my own and maybe my wife's top coat, just a wool, trench coat, and hers is a lot more money. I mean, maybe 25% more to have it cleaned. I couldn't believe that,
Now, economics professor Don Dukowski joins us in studio this afternoon. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So actually, yesterday I went to the convenience store and I saw that there were men razor cartridges priced for $14.99 and women cartridges, the same brand, for $18.49. That's almost $3 more. Now, why does this drastic difference exist?
My strong sense is the razor cartridges cost roughly the same amount to make for men and women, so I don't think it's in the cost. I simply think that women demand more razor cartridges than men, and therefore you see the higher price.
So because of this demand, is that why marketers do this, change the prices and make it more expensive for women?
Sure. Women generally have demanded more items like toiletries and dry cleaning services and related type goods over time. And then with the increasing numbers of women entering the workplace, there's all the more need and demand for these types of services.
Now, would you consider this price gouging at all?
Not at all. What the retailers are doing is pricing what the market will bear. Your retailer is pricing those razor cartridges at $18.49 because they know they'll be able to sell them at that price.
And are there any ways for shoppers to get around this?
Look around. Different stores. It's a competitive market. All these stores have to compete and sell all these types of goods. Shop around, look for good buys, and substitute where you can into the men's goods here. Maybe it won't work with things like perfume or something like this, but it might work with razor cartridges.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. As you guys heard, shop around. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, pal. Up next, Max Block has the full story of the women's journey to the finals. Find out what it means for the future of the program at SU.
The SU women's basketball team made history this season. They won 30 games, reached the Sweet 16, snuck through to the Elite Eight, powered their way to the Final Four, and blew out Washington en route to the national championship game. While last night's David versus Goliath matchup with UConn did not go their way, players, coaches, and fans alike will look back on this season as a turning point for the program's future.
SU women's basketball coach Quentin Hillsman knew the odds his team was facing. The Lady Huskies were 36-0. They were 3-time defending champions.
Not shocked about how good they are. I'm not shocked about the things that they did in the game.
Coach Q was also not shocked by the resilience his team displayed. Throughout the NCAA tournament, the team played with confidence, and this championship game against UConn was no different.
I told our kids in walkthrough day, I said, you have no reason to be scared when you are prepared. So go compete. And we were prepared, and we competed, and we definitely didn't play scared. It was a very tough basketball game. I thought our kids left it all on the floor.
And that confidence and preparation should follow the team into next season. With only one starter graduating, the Orange will return a core of rising seniors.
Well, you know, it's only the beginning. We've been building these 4 years, and you want to get to this level, and you want to get back here, so we're just going to keep building, you know, and just like Coach said, we're going to get back to the national championship game and try to win it again.
Now for those in the Syracuse area who are looking for some happiness despite the loss, all they have to do is look back on the collegiate career of local hero Brianna Stewart. The 2012 CNS high school grad lost a total of just 5 games in her 4-year stay at UConn, capturing both national titles and tournament most outstanding player awards all 4 years. After her 24-point performance last night, many are considering Stewart the greatest women's college basketball player of all time. For my full sports report, tune in to NCC News at 4:45.
A unique Marine has become the first of his species to win the highest medal for valor.
We'll have the full story right after the break.
Ohio Governor John Kasich announced today he will be visiting the Salt City. The Republican presidential candidate will host a town hall event at Lemoyne University this Friday at 6 p.m. It will mark the first visit by Kasich to Central New York.
This comes ahead of the state primary on April 19th. Kasich is one of 3 Republican candidates vying for the party's nomination.
I wonder if he'll stop by on campus like Hillary Clinton did when she visited varsity.
And now Patty joins us from the 445 news team to fill us in on what's later to come path.
Coming up on 445, we've got the latest on how the Syracuse community is raising awareness for cancer. Max Block followed up on the future of Syracuse basketball. And will the snowy weather continue into the weekend? Paulo Searle will have your 5-day forecast. Expect all that and more coming up at 445.
A retired member of the U.S. Marine Corps is the recipient of the top military medal for valor. Under her watch,
Luca, a retired German shepherd, received the medal in London yesterday.
Under her watch on 400 separate missions in Iraq,
she was forced into retirement in 2012 when she lost her leg to a hidden bomb.
Her owner says she is now enjoying her retirement with family walks, getting in the water. That's all we have for NCC News. My name is Jacob Friesen Grant.
I'm Ying. Thanks for watching.